Live with studios in Midland and Odessa, you're watching CBS7 First Alert News at 9 on the CW West Texas.
Some Fort Stockton residents are once again at odds with the city after an attempt to beautify the town left at least 10 people's homes demolished. Coming up in just a few minutes, CBS7's Noe Ortega speaks with residents who were displaced. Thanks for joining us for CBS7 News on the CW, and thanks for joining us live on the CBS7 YouTube. I'm Lauren Munt. The Big Spring professional firefighters are calling out city officials for the closure of Fire Station 2. According to the president of the Big Spring Firefighters Association, the station was closed with no warning or notification from city officials. It comes after the Big Spring City Council agreed to reduce the number of employees in its fire department by 10 people back in July. Big Spring's mayor told CBS7 in July that staff reductions were because the city stopped receiving grant funding, which allowed them to pay for more firefighters. But the Big Spring Firefighters Association says already 20 firefighters have left. The president of the Big Spring Firefighters Association released a statement saying, in part, quote, "The closure of Station 2 and the ongoing exodus of highly trained and skilled firefighters and paramedics place lives and property needlessly at risk," end quote. For his full statement, visit our website, cbs7.com. The Big Spring Fire Chief says the closure was temporary and Fire Station 2 is back open.
A lot of our worker population is growing older, and so they're retiring, they're dropping out. We've got people that are moving out of the county.
The Midland County Election Office needs your help. We are 2 months away from the 2024 election cycle, and across Midland County there are 23 polling locations with an average of 6 workers at each location. That means there are about 150 workers needed. Out of those 150, there's a lot of openings.
Right now, we've got, for election judges and alternate judges, we probably have about 20 slots that we need to fill, and we've got more than that we need to fill as far as election workers go.
If those slots aren't filled, lines at polling locations might be a little longer, which can cause things to move slower. If you're interested in this job, you can visit the elections office at the Midland County Annex. And speaking of election news, President Biden visited Valley Forge during a campaign stop in Pennsylvania today. It's his first campaign event of 2024, a year that could very well see him take on former President Donald Trump again, with the winner getting the White House. CBS's William James Inman reports.
President Biden is ramping up his 2024 re-election campaign in the battleground state of Pennsylvania.
There's no confusion about who Trump is, what he intends to do.
The president used the event to mark the 3rd anniversary since the January 6th assault on the U.S. Capitol, as he is anticipating a rematch with former President Donald Trump.
His first rally for the 2024 campaign opened with a choir of January 6th insurrectionists singing from prison.
Former President Trump's rivals for the GOP nomination are acknowledging the January 6th assault and say that becomes an advantage for Biden if he's in a rematch with Trump.
If Trump is the nominee, the election is going to be about legal issues, criminal trials, and January 6th. Biden's record, no one's even going to be talking about that. It's all going to be about Trump.
Republicans have lost the last 7 out of 8 popular votes for president. That is nothing to be proud of.
Trump, who still maintains a big lead in the polls, has been able to largely disregard his rivals for the GOP nomination. Trump is campaigning in Iowa, which holds his caucuses in 10 days. Willie James Inman, CBS News, the White House.
Trump is rallying in Sioux Center, Iowa tonight, with another rally in Newton, Iowa on Saturday. Back here in West Texas, let's talk your weekend forecast with Chief Meteorologist Tom Tieferteller. Tom?
Well, Lauren, it looks like a quiet one on the way, at least for the start of the weekend, so try to make the most of it. Looking outside this evening, a little on the chilly side if you're out and about, as temperatures are all the way down to 39 already out at the Middle National Air and Spaceport and up towards the Andrews area, 36 in Hobbs, and on the plateau, 28, usually the cold spot this time of night. There in Marfa, as we've seen the wind calm down quite a bit across the area, so good news there. But that's one thing that's going to move back in our forecast, but hold off until late Sunday. So a quiet weekend until that next Pacific storm system that could put a couple of showers, even a couple of snowflakes in the forecast for parts of West Texas, but plenty of wind.
And we're tracking crime now in Big Spring, where according to our partners at KBS Media, Big Spring police are investigating the death of Leah Hughes as a homicide. Hughes died on December 28th and no other details have been released, but we will update this story as we know more. And across West Texas, multiple residents in Fort Stockton are saying that the city is demolishing their homes that are made out of adobe. They claim that the city has told them that they want to beautify Fort Stockton, but some of the homes that have been demolished have been there for years. Some of those homes are abandoned, but some of them have a lot of meaning to the people that live in Fort Stockton. CBS7 Noe Ortega met with some of those residents earlier today and has more.
Adobe homes are made out of sand, clay, and straw that is then mixed with water and left to dry in the sun. A majority of the homes and buildings in Fort Stockton are made of it. Abel Quintela says he's heard of at least 10 people's homes get demolished by the city, and that the residents are not only left without a home, but also with the bill to pay for the demolition.
You have a right, and the city has a right to give you monetary money to destroy your property or instill in giving you, put a property on your home if they're willing, if they're going to beautify the city like they say.
Quintela says that the bills that are left for the residents to pay can be up to $3,000. Some of the homes are abandoned, but he says these homes mean a lot to the people of Fort Stockton. However, for some Fort Stockton residents, it's a little too late. Right behind me is the home of Greg Rivera, who has been living in Fort Stockton for a big part of his life. And the only thing that his dad left behind before he passed away a couple of years ago was the deed to his home, which was also made out of adobe. And Rivera in the last couple of years was fixing it up, but unfortunately for him, just a couple of months ago, that house was demolished.
I don't know, it just breaks my heart because
Gregory Rivera was in prison for 20 years. However, once he got out, he decided to make a change in his life and do good.
I try to be a better man. That's the issue. And sometimes I said, man, I don't know why. There's a reason for it. But
Rivera suffered a stroke while he was in jail and has had health issues since. He was in the hospital for months, and while he was in the hospital, that's when there was a letter left on his door to let him know that they planned to demolish his home. When Rivera got back home, his house was demolished.
My mind was like running 1,000 miles an hour, and I said, man. So I just locked the house, and he said, oh, you staying there? And I said, yeah, because that's where I got, yeah, I used to stay there, but now you're going to knock it down, so.
All that's left are some stones and a gate from the home that Rivera planned to fix for the coming years. CBS7 has reached out to the city and are still waiting on a response. In Fort Stockton, I'm Noe Ortega, CBS7 First Alert News.
Everybody's cut out to be a doctor. They may not want to be a pharmacist, but respiratory therapy might be the job that suits them best. So what our goal is to hopefully identify the career that will work best for each of these students.
High school students can now get hands-on experience at the Midland Memorial Hospital. That's thanks to a new program started by the hospital and Boy Scouts of America. It's called Medical Explorers. This program is crucial for the healthcare industry, and it gives the platform for the next generation who want to work in the medical field. This program's been around for a year with 35 students enrolled, and it gives them an inside look at what the healthcare industry looks like while also creating a pipeline to future jobs in the medical field.
So in this program, we're able to go to the floors and just see how they work and all the instruments that they use. In physical therapy, we got to see how they use like crutches and wheelchairs and like some of the running tracks that they use. And in labor and delivery, we got to see the epidurals and all that kind of stuff. So they've really just shown us like what they actually use and how they use it.
High school students are able to shadow with healthcare professionals and engage in sessions about different medical specialties. And as you know, the Sand Hills Stock Show and Rodeo has kicked off with more events in full swing. You're looking now at the Cattle Showmanship Contest, where cattle were weighed, classified, and showed off by contestants of all ages. And for them, contests like these are a way of life.
It's on how they present their animal. They set their feet up to give them to judge the best possible view of the calf. They hold their head up high to just kind of show them. It's more of not really a beauty contest, but just a style contest today.
And while this is a show the community built is more like a family. Tonight's rodeo performance started at 7:30 with another rodeo tomorrow night at 7:30. And 3 more next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. You can find more information about Sandhills up on our website. And we have a traffic update for you. The Texas Department of Transportation says over the next 2 weeks, residents will see major progress on the Midkiff and Cotton Flat bridges. TxDOT says the main bridge beams at both sites will be lifted into place. Because of these updates, the east and westbound left lanes near the Midkiff site will be closed from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. January 11th, 13th, and 15th. No impact to daytime traffic is expected at Cotton Flat. However, overnight, the westbound left lanes will be closed on January 20th. And you're looking now at today's top headlines, shown here in real time with real viewers on CBS7.com. You can see all these stories and more by downloading our app or visiting our website, CBS7.com. And still ahead, millions of Americans are bracing for a massive winter storm this weekend. How cities across the nation are bracing for the first significant snowstorm of the year, next on CBS7 News at 9. Across the nation, a winter storm is taking aim at the northeast. This will dump several inches of snow this weekend, bringing powerful wind gusts. The same system could cause severe storms and heavy rains along the Gulf Coast. Jen Sullivan reports on how cities are bracing for the first significant snowstorm of the year.
The streets of Galveston, Texas, underwater Friday as heavy rain saturated the area. That same system drenching the southeast, causing these dangerous driving conditions in Winslow, Arkansas. Heavy snow stalling traffic for hours on I-49 Friday. Multiple cars and semis involved in crashes.
Started slipping and sliding, slowed down to about 20 miles an hour, and then made it past the tunnel, and then that was it.
That same system now shifting to the East Coast. Roughly 40 million Americans are under winter alerts from Georgia all the way up to Maine. New England seeing the worst of it. Boston could see up to 8 inches of snow Saturday into Sunday.
Our vehicles and our drivers and our city teams are out there trying to prepare the streets, treat them before the snow comes down.
Beantown ready with 49,000 tons of salt and dozens of drivers on standby.
Our goal will just be to keep on top of the storm as it is happening, to keep streets clear and passable.
Connecticut also under a winter storm warning, bracing for up to 8 inches of snowfall near Hartford.
Stay off the roads. Makes it a lot easier, quicker, and safer for us to get the roads plowed.
New York City could see its first significant snowstorm in nearly 2 years. The city issuing a snow alert as the Big Apple is expecting 1 to 3 inches of snowfall. Plows ready to clear the streets. The National Weather Service predicting parts of upstate New York could be under a foot of snow by Sunday. Meanwhile, other metropolitan areas like D.C. and Baltimore will likely dodge the snow and instead see heavy rain. In New York, I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
Well, a little bit of a change coming up in the forecast, but the good news is it's going to hold off until later in the weekend. We'll talk about that. The chilly forecast is up next.
Now, from the CBS7 First Alert Weather Center, here's Chief Meteorologist Tom Tiefertiller.
Well, let's take a look at the upper levels first off and get you up to date that we're going to be kind of in between storm systems coming up for tomorrow, saying goodbye to one that brought the rain, even some snow to parts of West Texas. Seeing another little trough here dig down. It may bring a couple of clouds in the forecast, but I don't think we're going to see much else than that. Maybe a little bit of breeze, but I think it's going to be a decent day coming up on Saturday. Then this ridge of high pressure moves across behind that, making for a nice start to your Sunday. But then we're going to start to get under the influence of the next storm system, and a lot of wind looks to be on the way. Right now across the state of Texas, it's a quiet evening across most areas, even though we do have that next little disturbance with a few clouds moving across, and those will be in the forecast overnight tonight and in towards the morning hours. But again, pretty quiet across the state today. And we saw temperatures, again, chilliest across the northern half of the state, so quite a variety from 39 in Amarillo to 72 in the Brownsville area. Quite a range of temperatures this afternoon. We settled in pretty close to where we should be this time of the year at 55 degrees on the afternoon high out at the Miller National Air and Spaceport. So some more high clouds on the way overnight tonight and in towards tomorrow, but any moisture looks to be well to our north. And there may be a touch of breeze in the forecast out of the west tomorrow afternoon, but the real wind is going to come around to the south coming up on Saturday, I should say Sunday, and that's going to warm temperatures up a few degrees. Be a little blustery coming up for Sunday afternoon. So again, Saturday looks to be the better day of the weekend forecast. Then on Monday, we have plenty of breeze to wake up to before that next storm system starts to roll across. Rest of tonight, it's going to be cold. We're going to see freezing temperatures in our forecast down into the lower 30s. Tomorrow, though, again, a few clouds in the forecast, but they'll be moving out later in the day. Temperatures into the 50s out there. And your CBS 7 First Alert exclusive 10-day forecast. Well, here's what we're going to be looking at. Again, a relatively quiet weekend, except for the wind coming up on Sunday. That's going to be ahead of the next storm system that's going to bring more wind to the forecast on Monday. And some chillier temperatures, a few clouds, and we may see a little bit of moisture, especially in the mountain areas, come in the form of a rain-snow mix. But for the most part, though, not expecting any issues with that. And we're going to see more sun than anything else next week before a stronger front rolls in late on Friday into Saturday with some more winter chill in our forecast.
Still ahead, tomorrow marks 3 years since the insurrection at the Capitol. Next on CBS 7 News at 9, politicians explain their frustration and what they call a lack of justice. Tomorrow is the 3-year anniversary of the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. And although it only lasted a matter of hours, what happened that day changed American politics forever. Our Washington Bureau reporter Molly Martinez takes a look.
In the 3 years since the attack on the Capitol, data from the Department of Justice shows 1,250 people have been arrested for their involvement. U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland says they've obtained 890 convictions on crimes like obstruction of an official government proceeding, all the way up to seditious conspiracy. For those with felony convictions, they'll be stripped of their right to vote. Those are votes that most likely would have gone to the man who brought them to D.C. on January 6th in the first place.
Certainly, it's important to consider the fact that some of these individuals may lose their right to vote, but I think it's a small drop in the bucket of individuals who were there, still hold those views, and will inevitably go to the ballot with those views in mind once again.
Others, like former Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn, are using the day as a springboard.
I'm running for Congress. We can't ever let this happen again.
As for the man at the center of it, a growing list of states, including Maine, Colorado, Illinois, and Massachusetts, are trying to invoke a Civil War-era provision that bans insurrectionists from holding office. They're using it to get Donald Trump off the ballot.
Certainly, it's unprecedented
for a Secretary of State to deprive a presidential candidate of ballot access under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. It's also unprecedented for a presidential candidate to engage in insurrection.
Trump's legal team is asking the Supreme Court to make an official ruling as to whether or not he should be disqualified for the ballot. That decision would apply to all states. In Washington, I'm Molly Martinez.
5 West Texans were arrested in the January 6th Capitol riots. Jenny Cudd, Alil Rosa, and Sean Watson, they're pictured there, along with Vic Don Williams and Corey Ray Bennon. 4 of the 5 pled guilty. And still ahead, we probably couldn't go a day without it. So tomorrow, take a second and thank your tech. Next year on CBS 7 News at 9, we're talking about National Technology Day. Tomorrow is National Technology Day, so whether you can't be without your smartphone or your home just wouldn't be a home without all your virtual assistant technology, it's all around us and it's ever changing. As 2024 begins and we look towards new inventions and advancements, remember how all those everyday items that make life easier, they keep us more connected.
And there's about to be a ton of new technology devices shown next week at Consumer Electronics Show 2024. They always have that like the second week of the year to show all of what is going to be available by Christmas.
Well, Tom, do you know what my favorite piece of technology is?
What's that?
It's the CBS7 First Alert weather app.
No, I know. That is a good piece of technology to have for your iPhone, your Android phone. Keeps you up to date, keeps you in the know with things like our CBS7 First Alert 10-day forecast, which shows that we're going to be dealing with a nice start to the weekend, but a lot of winds on the way for Sunday. And those blustery conditions are bringing in another storm system across the area that's going to bring some changes, maybe even some snowflakes to the mountain areas coming up on Monday.
All right, well, be sure to download the CBS7 First Alert weather app for updates like that and the CBS7 First Alert News app. Thanks for joining us tonight on CBS7 News at 9. We've got more news coming up tonight at 10.